Vice Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Dikshit, DG Caps, Air Marshal Kapoor, Triad Chiefs, esteemed veterans, partners from industry and academia, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, it's an honor and privilege to deliver the inaugural address at this very important seminar. I think the topic is extremely relevant, as has already been highlighted by DG Caps. Basically, when we are talking about surveillance, C4I2 and electro-optics, the modern battle space, I think all of us, in a lot of seminars that we attend are focused on platforms and weapons. While the importance of platforms and weapons will never go away, I think today's battlefield and battle airspace is defined by information superiority, network-centric operations, and most importantly, split-second decision-making. Therefore, success in multi-domain operations can come only if we can reduce and shorten our OODA loop, that is, observe, orient, decide, and act. While the act part comes from the platform and the weapons it carries, the first three aspects of observe, orient, and decide will come from the topics that are being discussed today in this seminar, which is surveillance, C4I2, and electro-optics. And the intention is to make our OODA loop shorter than that of the adversary so that we can decide and act before he can. But to achieve true operational superiority, we can no longer treat these three aspects, that is surveillance, C4I2, and electro-optics, in their own silos. They need to be integrated into a system of systems. Surveillance obviously will act as the persistent eyes and ears in all domains: land, sea, air, space, cyber. Electro-optics will give you that precision, delivering high-definition thermal imaging, multi-spectral targeting, and optimal identification in various environments that are possible. And of course, C4I2 will act as the central nervous system, which will integrate all these, fusing disparate sensors into real-time and actionable intelligence and situational awareness for the commander in the field. And it is not only giving him the actionable intelligence, but giving it in the time that he needs. That is the most important aspect. Therefore, when you have an electro-optical payload on an uncrewed system, when it is fused seamlessly, it detects a threat. The C4I2 will instantly process the data via AI-enabled edge nodes, and thereafter the strike element will execute the precision targeting before the adversary realizes what has hit him. And therefore, what is very important to understand is integration is not merely an engineering tool or a goal, but it is a combat multiplier. Hence, the objective today in the battlefield is to sense better, understand faster, decide with confidence, engage precisely, and assess continuously. And this is where the experience gained from designing and operating the IACCS is very, very critical, because it is a system where our sensors, our communication, the C2, and the shooter are all integrated. While operating in this integrated environment of all these elements, there are certain very critical challenges that our industry partners and academia need to tackle. And these core challenges, some of which have already been highlighted, are interoperability, cybersecurity, and resilience. Because as we accelerate our network-centric operations, these networks themselves become the target for the adversary. And we must confront these critical operational bottlenecks. To achieve seamless jointness, it is very, very important that we have standardized protocols. We need to be self-reliant in modern communication systems. All our communications, ground sensors, the platforms, the aerial ISR assets, they all need to operate on the same network, on the same standardized protocols, and speak a common digital language, which is very, very important. And therefore, interoperability must be a design principle and not an afterthought. And that is why all the industry and academia who are sitting here need to talk to each other, because right off the bat, the platform, the sensor, everything needs to be talking the same language. Only then they will integrate and contribute to this framework. Modern networks will always face the electronic threats, whether in the cyber domain, in the EW domain, spoofing, etc. Therefore, our C4I2 backbone must be self-healing and be resilient enough to operate in the most densest of EW environments. Operators who are operating at the front edge cannot have to suffer from latency and bandwidth issues. So while we always focus on increasing the bandwidth, the front-end algorithms need to become lighter so that they are less data heavy or depend lesser on the networks. And The use of AI will always be necessary, like I mentioned. It is important that the actionable intelligence is available in real time. These networks will generate loads and loads of data. If you are unable to interpret it and analyze it in time, that data will be of no use. Therefore, how do we achieve all these goals? The way forward for this is for that holy trifecta or the triple helix partnership of the military, the user, the industry, and the academia to work together. The armed forces obviously cannot solve these complex problems on their own and can only be done in a synergistic manner. Therefore, we will look forward to the academic institutions doing the technology, deep technology of or evaluation or the development of the actual technology, and the industry thereafter steps in to make the systems based on this technology. The R&D organizations, the industry partners need to give us systems which are ready to deploy, which have been tested in the extreme of conditions required. And therefore, here the theme is to collaborate rather than compete. And I have said this earlier in other seminars. When I talk of that, I mean the DPSUs, the big players who have the deep pockets, need to collaborate with the startups and MSMEs who are more nimble and more agile, and support them and take them under their wings rather than compete with them. Otherwise, it's not a level playing field for anyone, and we will not move forward. So it is collaborate rather than compete, which should be the motto or the theme as we move forward. And last but not the least, as military leaders, we need to be ready to integrate modern technologies into our battle plans, into our operational plans. We should not be asking what is the system, but what is the operational problem that I'm trying to address. So rather than saying that I need this system, we should define the operational problem and let the industry and the academia come up with the solution. I am sure that the seminar today will serve as a collaborative launchpad which will challenge assumptions, forge past partnerships, and align the research pipelines directly with the tactical and operational requirements of the services. Future of warfare will certainly continue to revolve around the platforms and weapons, but increasingly it will be won through information, integration, and faster decision-making. And hence the importance of the theme for today's seminar: surveillance for awareness, C4I2 for decision-making, and electro-optics for precision execution. These all three must converge to create a single outcome. I am confident that the seminar will provide a platform for exchange of ideas, collaboration, and ultimately contribute to better combat capability. Thank you, and Jai Hind.